I've been working on an online registration system for the last few months, and it's getting pretty close to being ready to go. So I thought I would create a little tutorial here to show clubs that would be interested to how to get going in this thing. There is no charge for it unless you receive online payments, and that would be through Stripe, Stripe, and you would have to set up an account with them, and then I would have to get the keys so that we could get your money to you. So anyway, but that's if you decide that you wanted to do this and use the Stripe account, then we'll have to get in touch, and we'll have to go over getting it all set up for you. Okay, but first of all, what you need to do, say you're going to start this, and what you're going to do is in your match setup, you're going to go in there and click on the, we'll just cancel this to start with. And when this comes up, this gives you, you set your match up just as normal with the normal dates that you want to do. Now the address in here will be the one that if you have and I'll show you. It says that to send a check to this and this is the club name and the address. So that would be the address that the checks, if they were going to mail a check in, would come to. And then this would be just your regional name or whatever you're going to call your match. Set up your match the normal way. There's only one stipulation in setting up the Wild Bunch. Now the Wild Bunch, any of these matches, like as you know, you can set any of these up. So you could put the Wild Bunch up here, or you could put the Wild Bunch down here. The only stipulation is that the word says Wild Bunch, just like this. That's because in online registration, the system has to know which of the matches is the Wild Bunch. Okay. All right. Other than that, you would just go into your additional match information, and down here on the bottom, you'll see there's a couple check boxes. It says online registration and use the Stripe online payment. So if you don't want the online payment button to show up, and I'm going to uncheck it for now because we would need to go through and it just brings up an icon that says pay on, gives the amount, and you'd put the register would put their email or their email, their credit card number, the CV number, that security number on the back, and I think the zip code, and then it would go on and do its thing. But we won't do that for right now. If you're interested, we'll go back and go over that later. But that's about everything in your match setup that you're going to want to do. The next thing you're going to want is in your match fees. When you bring up your match fees, you'll notice that there's now, when you check that online registration, you can exempt some of these from going out online. And I would say we'll exempt the comp shoot. Excuse me. We don't want anybody to be saying, oh, I want a comp shoot, and that's up to you to do that. So you can, anything for the main match that's in here, you just set it up, put the amounts that you want to be paid, and if you don't want anything, then check them. Okay, the other one is in your event master. Now in your event master, you basically have the same type of thing. You have your camping, Saturday night dinner, plainsman poker night, whatever you want to set up, you set it up in here. And once again, if you might have something that you're going to get, maybe a comp dinner or something, you don't want those showing up on your online registration. So in that case, you would click the online registration, and that pretty much is what you need to set up your system or get it ready for setup. The next thing you're going to do is, once you've done that, you're going to go into your reports and additional options, and now there's 3 more buttons over here, and we're going to extract the data that we just collected or we just created in here, and it's going to extract those out. And when we do that, it's going to come up and say registration data extracted, and it gives the location. Now let's just go quickly and take a look at those. Registration data right there. Now let me get this in a organized so that we can see it better. And we'll just put I'm going to go with details. And let's sort them by date. Okay. There's 5 files that this creates. It creates an event file, a parameter file, state file, match fee file, category file, and the master file. Those are the 5 files that the system, actually 6 files that the system creates. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 files that the system creates. Those are the files that you are going to load into your registration form. All of this data, your form is customized to your match that you're putting on. So it's just a standard customization, so everything that you have goes into that form. And we're going to do that right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go here to the online, well, log on online registration. And that brings up this screen. Now, if this is your first time that you've logged on to this system, you're going to need to sign up. So what we're going to do is, this is going to be the name of your database, and that will run through with you for as long as you want to use the online registration system. So we're going to key in a name here. I'm just going to key in, I'll just put online registration, and then your SASS number, your alias, first name, last name, address, now this has got the states already there, so all you do is have to hit the first letter or whatever, your zip code, your email, and a password. Okay, and then you hit the sign up button, and if everything went okay, you've signed up successfully. It looks right up here. Now once you've done all that, it takes about 24 to 48 hours to get the database all up and set up and get it out on the website and everything else. So what you do is, if you're doing this, just send me an email and say, hey, I've signed up, this is my database name, I'm going to need to know the names so that we can set it up, and so that I can go in and make sure that the database got set up properly. I would rather do that than have, because sometimes going online you can have some differences. Anyway, once you're all set up, then you can go ahead, when I come back and say your database is ready, you would bring this back up from the SASS program. You would go into your SASS program and click on your button here, and that would bring it back up. You go here to your login, and here we're going to log in now. We're going to go on my SASS number and my password. I hit a double key there. And that brings us over to this little menu. And in this menu, this is now where we're going to load our data out to our database, because right now our database is empty. So we're going to load the parameter tables, and what this loading of the parameter table is going to delete all the previous information from your database. So if you set it up for your annual match, and say you want to use it for your monthly matches, when you run, you would do the same thing, go through and build your monthly, and create those files, and then you come in here, and when you did this, it's going to delete all those files. So this brings up this one, and you go and hit your browse button, and now if you put those, if those files were put in that what they would have been in the registration data directory, then they're going to come up here, and here's all those files, and we're going to load the param file. You open it and import it. Now it's done. So now go back, and we're going to load our event table, and we're going to browse for it, and there is our events, and we'll import those and our main match fees. You just kind of do this for each one of your files. Main match fees. Now we could do this all at one time, just hit a button and they would all load, but I like to do it on an individual basis, because that way I can go back in later, and I'll show you, we can always go back in, and I say I want to see my categories. I can, did I not do the, oh, I hit the master. Okay, I'm sorry. So we're going to do the master file and do that, and then we'll import that one. Okay, if I wanted to go back and look at my categories, there they are. Whoa, I hit the wrong, oh boy, I messed that up. Hang on a minute, let me fix this. Okay, what I did is I had messed up on these two and took care of them. But anyway, if you go back to one of these, you can always look and see who's in your database. You can look at your categories. There's your categories of the ones you loaded. So anyway, that's yeah, that was my fault, and I can see where I need to make a modification to this. So anyway, that puts you done with this area. So you have got your everything set up. So now all you're going to need to do is send a link to your, in your email or whatever, you can send a link out that says, if you want to register online, follow this link, or you can put it on your website if you wanted to do that. So, but for right now, I'm going to just go ahead and bring that registration screen up so you can see it. Okay, so you would send this registration form out, and basically all your data is there. Here's your match fees, here's your categories that you set up, and here's all your or here's the events that you set up, and here's all the categories. So there they all are. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to register a shooter, or the shooter will go ahead and register. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and register. I'll register myself. Now I have, these happen to be fall in my area, but I'm just going to type in 10411. When I hit enter, all that it goes and it checks the database. If you're in there, it will automatically fill this in. Now they can go in and update anything if they want to, or they can go ahead and change anything. Their phone, my phone number is different, so I'm going to change it. And I'm going to change this one. And I want to shoot with somebody, so I'll put in my wife. And now I'm going to shoot the main match. And so I want to take the Saturday night dinner. Now you'll notice that is, if you're going to do for multiples, I want to do 3 of these, so, or whatever, it says use the control key for multiple. So they would hold the control key down, and I want to do a warm-up, and say I'm going to do a camping. I can select any of that. And and also over here would be, say I want to do the Wild Bunch too. This is just another thing. Now, when I select the Wild, if I want to do the Wild Bunch too, I need to go in here and select my main match category, and then I also need to select my Wild Bunch category. And to do that, once again, we hold the control key down, and I'm a traditional. So now we can look at those, and they should both be highlighted. They are. And at that point it says check your information before selecting register. And so I'm going to look, everything looks fine. I'm going to hit the registration button. Now what it has done, it has comes up and says, please send a check for $140, make payable to online registration and mail to this address. And it says you will be put on the wait list until we receive your check. And on over here it shows them everything that they did. Thank you for registering for, and that would be your online, whatever you had in there. Their SASS number, their alias. Category, Frontier Cartridge Gunfighter. Wild Bunch category, Wild Bunch Traditional. You have requested to a Silver Fern. And then it gives the amounts total. And at this point, an email has been sent to the person, to that email address. A confirmation has also been sent, and on that is all this information, so they know everything that's available on that email. And then it says, you know, and then we can register another, you know, say I'm going to register my wife now at the same time. I can just go back and say register another shooter, and I'm going to go in into 65420. Now she's not in this database, so I would have to go in. It says 65420 not on file. Please fill out the information below. So I'm going to fill this out. Five 523 Northwest Street, number B. And once again, the zip code, I mean, the state is there. And we're going to put an F. Her phone number, we'll put the same as mine, 50. 503-701-3291. We won't put an alternate in. Her email will be, I'll just put my email in there. And she wants to posse with me. Okay, and at this point she's a spouse, and she's going to pick the Saturday night dinner, and she'll shoot the warm-up match now because, you know, she's with me. She doesn't shoot the Wild Bunch. So we'll go over here and pick her category, and her category, we'll just say that she's classic cowgirl. We'll check it out, and if it's okay, we're going to register the shooter. And it comes up and it gives the information again, and it tells how much the check should be for, and to send it all in. So that's their part of it, and it can continue going. They can just get out of this completely just by closing down the registration window or whatever. So let's go. Okay, so back into here now. What we're going to do is go now, say after a week or so you want to get that data from the online registration system. So at that point you would go back to your online registration, and that would bring up this screen again, and at this point you're going to log back in with your password. Now at this point down here you can retrieve the shooter's data and the event data. So we're going to retrieve this data. Now it depends on what browser you're using. I use Internet Explorer and I get this type of thing. I think Chrome and some of the other ones just download it to a different file, but I like to have the option of doing a save as. And I'm just going to stick it back in the registration data because that's where I just, you know, it's easier for me to find. I'm going to say save. I have files in there already. I'm just going to overwrite them. Now the problem with Chrome and that, it doesn't let you give you that option. What it does, it just adds a 1 to it, and if it's got a 1 in there, it's not going to work. So you're either going to want to delete out those after you've done it, go into your wherever you kept that and delete those two files. They're called, and what they're called is, I'm going to go grab this other one right now. That one was called, if you look at this, you'll see that that one was called shooter file CSV. So that'll be one you're going to want to delete if you're not using Internet Explorer. I'm going to get the event file. It creates two files out there, and I'm going to do a save as again, and I'm going to save it into the registration data. And okay, so that's been taken care of. Now we can just get out of that. Now back in our program, all we do is go to import that data from this online registration, and you can select the folder where it's located. Because I put it into the registration data folder, I'm just going to say no. Now it comes up and it says that SAS number 10411 CD-TOM was added to the wait list. That's because we're waiting for a check. And then it says 65420 Silver Fern was put in the wait list. And that's it. They're done. So if you look at your wait list, there we are, and it just puts them in there. Okay. Now say say my check came in. I sent the check in for maybe Debbie and I both, so, or for Silver Fern and I. So at this point, when you do that, you would go here and click this little button, and it says add shooter to the main match. No, we'll remove the shooter, move him from the wait list. I am going to say yes. And that goes ahead and brings that information in. It shows that I'm registered for these matches. Warm up, I think. Oh, this is Silver Fern I did. I'm sorry. Yeah, she didn't register for the Wild Bunch. I thought I clicked on me. Anyway, all the information there, all you need to do then would be just to check the check button and put the check number in. And of course, then the amount she paid. That takes care of it. If you look, everything is there. It shows who she wants to travel with. Everything is in the system. So then you can just go ahead and exit. Go back to your wait list. And now we're going to enter into, well, we'll get myself in there. And we're going to say yes. And this one has the registration. I'm registered in the main match, the warm-up, and this. So if we look at this, we know that we've got I didn't get the category in there. Okay, so we go back and we put. I always would check them just to be sure, but most of the time that should have gone in there, and I'll have to look and see why. Like I said, this is all sort of getting up. And anyway, there's the amount. We're going to put in our check number and the payment amount, and that's been registered. So it makes it pretty straightforward how this basically works. So everything goes in, and in essence they have received a confirmation of their online registration because the system emails it to them. So you really wouldn't have to send them out, but because you're going to have both online and regular, you would still, I guess you'd still want to go in and send out your confirmation letters, and they would send them again to those same people once they've been put back onto the taken out of the wait list and put on to the main match. Now, if you reach in your match setup, I'm going to show you there is a limit. You have a limit button over here of the number of limits. If your 200 limit, say you have a limit of 200 and your people are still registering, you could, what it does, it basically says that the limit has been reached and it puts them automatically into the wait list. And that also happens when you're registering through the regular paper registration. It'll tell them that, you know, when you go to hit, you know, register, say there you've reached the limit, this person has been put in the wait list. So it's kind of like, and you can go to that wait list and end up saying, you know, you can pick them out, you can email those people. There's a email option in the wait list that allows you to email them out, print them out, do whatever you want with them. But that kind of takes, you know, that the wait list is kind of a neat idea. So anyway, that kind of wraps up what the online registration system does. I'm not sure that if there's any other questions, you can surely email me if you want to. I mean, or you gotta send me an email and I can walk you through some more of it. But other than that, that should take care of it. Thanks for watching.